Welcome to video number 6 in our series 7 myths about women entrepreneurs that even smart people believe. This is our final myth number 7. And this one is quite interesting and you'll see brings them all together in one way, even though it stands alone as a myth in itself. So let's get into it and explore myth number 7. As usual, I've got a few slides to share with you. So this one, myth number 7, is going to be about women don't speak up or they don't step up. And we've all heard it. Well, I've asked for questions and nobody spoke up. There were these promotions going, women didn't apply. There was a job going, women didn't apply. There was a funding round, women didn't apply. Why do women not step up? Women don't want to be leaders. These are all variations of this myth. So, myths shape the systems we live in. They shape our decisions. They shape how we live our lives. But more importantly, they shape how our lives happen. Because as much as we like to be in control, actually, our environment is our environment, and we have got to navigate that. So we are talking about 7 myths that shape the environment in which women entrepreneurs develop and live their entrepreneurial lives. That is their reality. And we are impacted either through the products that reach us as a result of this process, or our own decision making, the products we choose to buy, the buyers and the business partners we choose to have, the entrepreneurs we choose to fund, the policies we choose to write and implement. And that last one's going to come in this, but with this particular myth. So there are particular areas of challenges that face women entrepreneurs disproportionately more than their male counterparts. And if you look at this screen, you may be thinking, but Shima, this is pretty much everything that an entrepreneur has to do and face. Yeah, it is. Access and visibility to training. Access and visibility to development opportunities, support, visibility and access to funds. And if you want to hear more about the challenges of women and funding, please do see the video that's immediately before this one, video number 5, about looking at finance, funding, and pitching. Access to markets, access to networks, champions, mentors. If you're not in the room, how do people know what you're going to do? So that visibility and access is important, as with everything. Competing work-life balance. I'm going to pause here. Women entrepreneurs face double and triple care and responsibility burdens. Most entrepreneurs will have the entrepreneurial endeavor. If they're early enough in the process, probably have a job. And then they may have child, parent, or spouse to look up to. So that's pretty much 360 degrees care responsibilities. That's a heavy load. But that's the reality of women's entrepreneurship. So we may say it's actually amazing that women get into entrepreneurship at all. That is a point of pride and admiration for the women that do it, for the women that become women entrepreneurs. It cannot be a further burden where we criticize them for their burden, if that makes sense. We cannot say you are not a good entrepreneur because you have care responsibilities or you have another job, because that's just not true. They are good at what they do. The fact that they choose to carry all this and become an entrepreneur is amazing, because they don't choose their care responsibilities. You might disagree with me and tell me life is all about choices. That's fine. But where love is concerned and care, it just is. It's love and care. We care for the people we love. We care for the people around us. We have senses of responsibility. So I'm not going to go down that discussion, because you may hold very different views to me, and that's fine. That isn't actually the point here. Facts, they've got care responsibilities. They might have a full-time or part-time job, and there's now the entrepreneurial business on top. So competing demands, chapeau to the women who do it, because they do it well, and we should support and respect them for it rather than criticize them for it. What we may wish to say is, how can we help them with care responsibilities? How do we help them with additional support for their entrepreneurial venture? How do we help them get access to funding so that they don't have to have that additional job? How do we introduce them to buyers that may then wish to speak to them rather than their junior male colleague? That's a real horror story. I hear it over and over again from women entrepreneurs that says, we've gone to our supplier or we've gone to our customer, and all they want to do is speak to the man who came with me, but the man reports to me. And that could be either a director that reports to the CEO, or it could actually be their assistant, their PA. Doesn't seem to matter what level of responsibility this man has. It's the man, must be spoken to. So visibility, credibility, space is really important. Now, the last one is the policy and institutional frameworks we work in. Timings of things, what's allowed, what's not allowed, certain countries in the world where women can and cannot do certain things. But let's not, grab onto that one and say, oh yeah, it doesn't happen in my country. That happens in those countries, and you know which ones we mean. No. It happens wherever you are. So, I'm based in Cambridge, UK. It happens in the UK. And the UK is a leading nation when it comes to our innovation and entrepreneurship. And yet, say our financial institutions, let's first go with the easy one. The banks are more likely to lend to a man than a woman. Having said that, the banks have done a real turnaround. And if you're interested, look at also the Rose report on entrepreneurship that was led by Nat West and Dame Rose. The banks have really come on board in supporting, understanding, promoting women entrepreneurs, but it's recent. So financial institutions is something, and financial institutions at a high level is one thing, at a practice level is another thing. I still hear the occasional discussion of, I talked to my bank manager and he didn't take me seriously, or asked me for collateral, or asked me whether my husband was going to be a backer. These things were happening till the last few years. So that's a problem. And that's banks, but you may also tell me, Shima, they're archaic, they're old-fashioned institutions, we've had them around. Maybe true, but actually, as I said, banks have really changed. So I'm not here knocking banks. I think actually Thank you and well done, banks. You're doing really well with improving, continuously improving and having that dialogue. In fact, I also worked with Barclays a few years ago and consulted on a report they were creating on women entrepreneurs. Again, search Barclays Women's Entrepreneurship. And there we have had some really interesting results around risk and risk appetite of women, which refers back to an earlier video on women are too risk averse. Have a look at how Barclays think about women and risk. That'll change your mind completely. So banks still have some issues, but on the whole, really on the rise. The last video, if you've just come from that, explains how the investment community is doing. Now, my goodness, that's still shambolic, shall we say. Pockets of good practice, majority, not so good. I recently heard an investor talk. A woman, maybe I shouldn't have said that, but there we go. A young woman, and she said, we haven't invested in any women in our portfolio. And when she was challenged and asked why not, she said, oh, I hadn't really thought about it. But we don't discriminate. If we ever saw a good women-led business, we would invest in it. Now, let that sink. i.e., the women's businesses are not good enough. I mean, is that going to be yet another myth that we're going to have to tackle? Women's businesses are not good enough. That was her excuse. The fact that she worked for a venture fund, so that's a fund, not even an individual, with a group of people with a portfolio of investments, and not a single one was in women. So that's investment institutions are an issue. But then, as we said, policy. Sometimes they'll allow you to do something or not. There are some countries where going bankrupt is a criminal offence. Most women, they have a job and multiple care responsibilities, cannot risk for their business to go bust and for them to have a criminal record. So as we think about the policy environment, start to look and we must question, does that actually work for women? How long does it take to start up the business? How much does it cost to take up the business? What does it require to set up the business? If the business doesn't work, what are the penalties for that? So unpacking that has been more challenging because it's not as obvious, and the easy answer is, well, that applies to everybody. It doesn't. It really hits women that bit more harshly. So now you put all those together, and in fact I would even suggest to you, if you were to also consider that this is myth 7 of 7, would you speak up and step up? If everything is harder and you're always seen as less and you're always made to feel less welcome, and your chances of raising finance is only 2%. How encouraged are you to step up and speak up? And yet, hey, at least 30% of the entrepreneurial pool remains consistently women. So there are definitely women who do it. But for those who don't, is that a blame the woman situation? Or is it there's something seriously wrong with our ecosystems situation? Can we really make life so hard for a type of individual and then say, why don't you want to do this? I mean, we wouldn't do that to a child. Why would we do it to a grown-up? Or maybe it's not an even why would we? It's just we wouldn't. We wouldn't do it to a child. We wouldn't do it to a human being. You can't make everything as difficult as it could possibly be and then blame the person for not wanting to do it. So, please, let us step away from women can't, women won't, women don't, and think about a subset, yes, that's true for, doesn't make it all women, but also for even those that genuinely don't, can't, won't, what is the environment doing? The fact that there are women who take these challenges on and do well does not mean we are actually operating in healthy systems. They are the exceptions. They are the warriors. They are the leaders trying to cut through a path that actually quickly shuts behind them as well. It's not as if these people are forging a path that's opening the way through. This isn't a Moses parting the Red Sea type situation where people can rise. Or maybe actually it is a good analogy. Got the woman entrepreneur, the Moses, here we say, parting the seas, and as the other women are coming behind her, flop, the whole thing comes crashing down around them. So let's really think about what our systems are doing, and let's focus on fixing the system rather than the women. Let's value half of our entrepreneurial talent and enable our ecosystems to do what they're meant to do, what we want them to do, what we aspire for them to do, and really what the world needs them to do. So step away from fixing your women. Instead, give them the opportunity to show you what they're good at. Give them the support, open the doors, and think about what challenge you are going to take on. If you've been with me through this series, thank you. I hope you found this interesting and useful. Please tell me which challenge you're taking on, or if you're taking on all 7, or if you've already taken on and smashed through all 7s, please share how you've done it. Let's create a community where we do actually communicate our good practices and help each other. We are Cambast. We're a Cambridge-based business. We work in the Cambridge ecosystem as our daily lives, but our work is global. We work in ecosystems with entrepreneurs, accelerator programs, mentors, funders, literally across the globe, from South America to Asia, from the Nordics to Africa. Ask us if there's anything we can help with. I will read and answer your comment. Please like, share this video if you found it interesting and useful, and reach out through our website if there is anything more we can do to help you. Thank you very much. Oh, and if you've got any suggestions on future challenges you want busted, we are thinking about another series of yet another 7 myths about women entrepreneurs that smart people believe. But we're taking votes on that one. Let us know what you think and if there's a challenge you'd like to see as part of that series. Thank you very much. And if you haven't, I can't say this time see you in the next video, but maybe see you in previous videos if you haven't watched these yet. Thank you very much and goodbye.